Hello everyone, hope you're all doing good. In this video I'm going to be going through a track by track guide of my EP Warrior in the Clouds Part 1, and yeah, in this video I am going to be going in more depth and detail on all the tracks from the EP that come out on Friday. So I got this idea from a mate of mine when I was sending my original draft for my Everything You Need to Know video, and he suggested, instead of talking about the tracks in detail there, separate it and do it after the EP's come out. So I really appreciate that idea, and yeah, so here we are. So yeah, before we get into the video, please check out the EP if you haven't already. It's been out for a couple of days now. I'm actually recording this the day after it got released, so yeah, I thank everyone who's already listened to it and for all the support and all the responses, and yeah, let's just get straight into this video. So the first track, entitled The Entity Has Gone, I originally wrote this when I was 15. It was one of the very first things that I actually ever wrote, and I always thought it'd be a cool intro for an album, and yeah, in the end it actually turned out to be the intro for this EP. Yeah, I wanted this song to just set up the whole EP to let everyone know what you're in for the duration. Massively inspired by The Ides of March by Iron Maiden, because that is sort of like an intro to Killers, and I wanted to do something similar with this song. It has that new wave of British heavy metal, speed metal sound. I added the sample at the start with the feedback from we got on Logic to sort of add a suspense to the intro, and then it goes in with the riff. The solo is from two different takes. I did one take and then I did another take, and we liked one half of it better than the other half and vice versa, so we split it in half and we felt it was seamless from one to the other. And after that we just thought there's no point doing a retake because it sounds really great as it is. So yeah, I don't think I could have done it better, to be honest. Sort of the meaning of this song is quite momentous. It's almost like this evil entity has just been banished to another dimension, and everyone's rejoicing that the entity is gone. But also the entity could mean anything really, from like a spiritual, fictional, even like a higher power kind of thing as well. Now track 2, which is the title track, Warrior in the Clouds, and this is one of the most recent tracks that I wrote for this EP when I was about 18 and 19. It's in two halves, so the first half is massively influenced by Joe Satriani, that instrumental rock, hard rock vibes going on, very reminiscent of Summer Song. That was a massive inspiration to this song. The lead melody at the start is very, very similar to the start of that song. The second half is massively inspired by Marty Friedman, Cacophony, that neoclassical shred metal stuff. It's very aggressive, very angry, heavy. I wanted the drums to be super aggressive there and really fast. And yeah, it's one massive shred off between myself against myself, and all the guitar solos I was so happy with. I don't think I could have done them any better, to be honest. I originally wrote that lead melody, the first melody you hear, I wrote that first, and then the whole song basically developed around that. That lead melody is very sort of similar to Sweet Child of Mine. And then the second half of the song I wrote a lot later, when I was 19, and it's just completely separate, but I thought it blended really well together, the way it kind of contrasts, and then the drums, and then it's into that section. I was really happy with that. The first half of the song could represent like peace and happiness, and you know, everything's going great, and then it transitions into this dark fury and this cloud battle that could be happening, and that the chaos is reflected in the guitar solos. Could also represent like a mind state, like 1 minute you're feeling alright, feeling good, and then something happens and then you're in a state of rage and anguish, and then you just let everything out in a mad fit of anger. Track 3 now, and this is D.I.E, Desolation in Extremis, and this song I wrote at 16, massive thrash metal song. It was really fun to play, and I believe that this has been the most reworked song out of all the tracks on this EP. It was massively inspired by Metallica and Megadeth, as at the time at 16 I was only listening to Metallica and Megadeth, and yeah, a lot of the riffs sort of stemmed from like Rust in Peace album, Master of Puppets, especially Battery in section 1, and then section 2 it kind of goes a bit blackened, the middle section of blackened, and then in section 3 it just goes like Kill 'Em All style, really early thrash. This song just embodies that 80s, classic 80s thrash, with lots of tempo changes and solos, and it has a big emphasis on the riff as well. The middle riff went through the most reworking. I didn't like the original idea that I come up with when I was about 16 or 17. I really wasn't too happy with it, but then it became what it is today, and I think it sounds great. Kim's drumming as well on this. I said it in the previous video that he's not a massive metal drummer. He doesn't really know metal drums that well, but he managed to pull off everything that I asked, and I was really happy with that. And the meaning of the song, desolation is like a state of emptiness and destruction or unhappiness, and in extremis means at the point of death. So this song kind of means, you know, could mean like the fear of feeling desolation in extremis. I think that's quite a fitting title or meaning for the track, the fear of what the song actually means. Track 4 now, and this is Faded Feelings, and I wrote this song when I was 17 in one sitting, and I remember it vividly that I just wrote the foundations of the track in just one night, one go, and yeah, it was really, really awesome to write. It's very classical inspired with some classic rock as well in there. It was massively inspired by a lot of classical music, a lot of like Randy Rhoads playing, neoclassical playing. The song Goodbye to Romance is the main inspiration for the song, and then also some classic rock stuff like Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix as well. In the middle guitar solo, sort of very reminiscent to Kirk Hammett. I definitely had some Kirk Hammett vibes in there, especially with the wah solo. And then the outro solo is very much in that style of Randy Rhoads, Joe Satriani in there as well. Joe Satriani always comes in, I don't know why, but it just seems to. But yeah, the first half of this song, I wanted more emphasis on the classical, the orchestral parts, with the MIDI instruments that was done by myself, and then Alfie played the piano parts. And then towards the middle and the end section, I wanted more emphasis on the rock, the classic rock side. And then the outro solo, just finishing it all off just perfectly. In the middle is where all of the rage kind of builds up, and then it gets too much with the guitar solo, and then it all calms down for the outro. This song is a little bit more slowed down, it's a bit more of an emotional song, it's kind of like the moment of reflection on the album, and also like release during the middle and the end of the song. The song means a lot to me because when I was writing it, I was going through a real bad time, and I think that's reflected in the music because it is quite sad at times, to be honest, the song. And yeah, at that time I was feeling a lot of stuff in here, but now over time a lot of that feeling has faded, so that kind of goes in with the track. So this song could mean like no matter what you're feeling, in time it will fade and it will heal, and I think that is quite important to get across. The meaning of the song, happens not during the song, it happens at the end when it fades. That's what I want to get across, that you go through all this feeling throughout the song, and then in time it'll all fade and it will heal, just like the song. Track 5 now, and this is Society Inc. And again, I wrote this when I was 17, and this is a really heavy, grungy, angry song that just absolutely smacks you around the face. This song was inspired a little bit by Nirvana and bands similar to that have that aggression. Even though I'm not a massive fan of Nirvana anymore, but back then when I wrote this, I did like a couple of Nirvana songs, and yeah, they're in there a little bit. The clean parts were inspired by Pantera's This Love. I kind of stole a little bit of it. If you listen carefully, you can hear it in the riff, that part. And then the lead melodies throughout the song at the start and at the end were inspired by Killswitch Engage. There's a song called Bid Farewell, and Adam D does something very similar. And when I learned how to do that, I thought that is perfect, that is what I'm missing there, and it stuck, and that's it. I wanted the clean parts to kind of represent calm, and then the build up of the anger, and then with the distorted parts is when you release that anger, when it all gets too much and you just have to let it all out. The spoken word part was done by myself. Quite ironically, I'm not very good at talking, but yeah. I think it really helps getting the meaning and emphasis of the song across. There isn't much to the song in terms of like riffs, it's just the same thing throughout the song, but it doesn't need to be a lot because the meaning of the song is sort of more than the song. And again, I wrote this song during a bad time in my life. I was just really pissed off with everything that was going on around me, the whole world. I just hated it, and everything that I knew at that point didn't exist, or wasn't there, and I was really confused, and I don't know, I just saw everything for what it really is, to be honest. I just see society as one massive corporation, hence the Inc, and they just choose to turn their back on people like myself and everything that I like, and put people like myself down really all the time. And the meaning behind this song is like society being, Society Inc, one massive corporation, and me just being fed up with it manipulating the way we live, like how it says in the song. I'm fed up with society manipulating the way we have to live. And the last song, track 6, is Death Ritual, and this is the most recent song that I wrote for this album. I was 19 when I wrote this, and it's the longest song as well. This is massively inspired by like extreme metal, groove metal, death metal, that kind of stuff. Machine Head, Obituary, Slayer all had a pretty big influence on this song. It's what I was listening to a lot at the time, and starting to get a bit more into death metal and that kind of stuff. intro is actually where I got the name of the song from, and it kind of has the same meaning as well. I just got all these crazy samples and church organ and just made it all have that weird, crazy, atmospheric, gothic sound. And we added a lot of like crazy samples as well. And I said it as soon as we were listening to it during the recording, it just sounds like a massive death ritual, like some crazy death ritual going on, and that was what stuck, and that is why the song is called Death Ritual. And then it goes into the groove death metal riffing, which is Machine Head style, and then the descending riff that is throughout the track, where it goes dun, 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 that is actually a riff that my dad played one time, and it always stuck with me. He was playing this riff and then he'd done that as well, and I always thought that was cool, so that stuck with me. And then in time it became the foundations of this track. The middle section I thought sounds a lot like Death, Chuck Schuldiner, even though I wasn't listening to Death at the time. That came much later, but listening to it now, it kind of has that Death, Chuck Schuldiner kind of progressive death metal thing going on. And yeah, during the recording we actually called it the Chuck riff. So yeah, that could kind of go in with the song title as well, Death. But yeah, the section kind of comes out of nowhere. It feels like, you know, the last section of the song, it kind of comes out of nowhere, and it just, you know, it feels like the song's about to finish, and then it comes in with this riff that I got from Slayer's Disciple. If you hear the outro riff where it sounds like the song's about to finish, and then it comes in with that really heavy riff at the end, that was what I kind of wanted to go with, but with a more of a death metal sound. Similar with D.I.E, I wanted to have more emphasis on the riff, but also have leads and crazy whammy stuff going on throughout the track. And again, I was really happy with Kim's drumming on this song, because again, it's not, you know, it's not what he normally does. I thought he did a fantastic job, even though the double kick drums and the blast beats were played on MIDI, but most of it was played with a real drum kit. So yeah, although we did have a real tough time getting the drums right for this song. I think we had the most issues with the drums with this song, because it's so intricate and so technical, the Chuck riff. It took us ages to get it right, but then in the end we finally got there. So that was this video. I hope you have a bit more of an understanding of the tracks, and please, if you haven't listened to the tracks, I hope this video might actually make you want to go and check the tracks out now, or if you haven't got round to it, I really hope you do check them out. Just a quick disclaimer that the live stream that I'm going to do, playing the whole thing live, will be coming in the next couple of weeks or so at one weekend. Physical CDs to sell is probably going to happen. I've had a lot of people ask about that, so that's awesome. I think I'm definitely going to go ahead with that. And yeah, please check it out on YouTube, all streaming sites, and Bandcamp as well. Yeah, thanks ever so much for watching. Until the next time, keep it metal.